I've been using ActiveCampaign for 5-6 years now, and I've been working with clients who have also been using it, and it is such a great product. I thought I would just share in this video some of the features of ActiveCampaign to get more people on the platform. So one of the great features is that you can create as many custom fields as you like to handle the needs of your audience. So I'm using here a sandbox account, so I just have a bunch of test users in here. So if you click on settings and go into manage fields, okay, you can see I have a number of fields that I've used for test purposes. I'm just going to collapse that for right now, but you can add a group. These are the default the default custom fields that come with ActiveCampaign by default. Okay, they cannot be deleted. First name, last name, email address, phone number, account, and job title. But you can expand this list and group them as you wish by whatever category you need. So I'm just going to, for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to add a group called additional info. Okay, just so that you can see how it works. And I'm going to add a field. So I'm going to add last engagement date, because we're going to be using this in a demonstration of the automations later, and this is going to be a date field. And you can have just a single line input field. You can have a paragraph kind of memo field, date. You can have a date timestamp if you want. You can have a drop-down list box. You can have just a regular list box and a radio button. Okay, so for my purpose here, we're just going to have a date, and I'm putting it in additional info. So when I click it, you can see now that it appears down here in additional info. And say for my test purpose here, I work closely with my contacts, and I work closely with their assistants, and I don't want to create a contact for each of the assistants, so I just put the assistant's name as a separate field, and it's just a text input that I maintain, and I'm just going to add that, and you can see that appears down here in the additional info. And then when I go into any one of my contacts, what will happen is you'll have different sections. Okay, so if I were to put in a date here or the assistant's name, you can enter it very easily right here in their contact sheet. Okay, and then each item is kept separate in a collapsible section or tab. Okay, so that takes care of the custom fields. The next topic I want to cover is tags. Tags can be maintained and are maintained here. Tags, you can have as many tags as you like, and you add them right here in the left hand side. And tag 01 and tag 02. So once you and let me just put a dash in front of them just so that you can see. Okay, that when they get deleted, when they get added. So what's nice about this is that you have all your tags here and so you can see the engaged and the recent activity. Those are the ones I just created. So you can see right here in your tag list how many contacts have the particular tag, how many automations use the tag, so you can quickly go and make any changes that need to be made based on whatever information you might have about a particular tag. But it makes it very easy to go from your tags to see all of the contacts that have a particular tag. So if I click on this one, you can see how many people have that particular tag, and then also when you click on the automation, okay, you can see that the tag is being used here. So anyone with that status is being picked out. Okay, same thing here. Okay. Here is, we're looking at the tag for a goal. So that these two columns are quite important in the tag list. You can see, like I said, you can see all the tags, and then you can see what contacts have the tag and what automations are using the tag. So I want to just create an automation that that uses the tags and applies the tags, so you can see how best to use them. You can add a tag manually to a contact if you like, but you can also set up an automation to do so. So in these two automations, if you click on create an automation here in ActiveCampaign, they do give you a list of recipes that you can use as a starting point for your own automation. And you can select any one of these, use it as is, or you can make whatever changes you need to it, or you can just start from scratch. Okay, so I have these two that I've already created using their starting points. Okay, so in part one, okay, a contact will come into, there's no trigger set for this. Okay, so that means a contact is being added somehow. In this particular case, it's being added in part two, but they are being added to this automation. And what happens is, in this particular one, we want to see how engaged the contact is with our brand. Okay, so when they come into this automation, they're tagged with engaged, okay, and recent activity, because they just did something that proved that they had some sort of activity on the website, opened an email, or read an email, or clicked on a link in an email. Okay, so if they did any of those three things, they would then be added to this automation, and they'd be tagged with engaged, and they would be tagged with recent activity. Okay, we're going to remove the disengaged tag and remove the inactive tag. Okay, so these four tags are being created within the account, and if they had the disengaged tag, it's removed. If they didn't, or if they had the inactive tag, we're removing it. If they didn't have either one of these tags, this remove node doesn't do anything. Nothing gets harmed. But what we want to do is, if somewhere along the line they did lose interest and they were tagged with disengaged or inactive, we want to make sure that we remove those tags, because now they've done something to prove that they've had some recent activity on the site with our brand. Okay, so now what happens is the contact sits in this automation, and we wait 7 days. Okay, at that time, and you can change this, but we're saying for right now 7 days. If they've done nothing else, they've had no engagement with our site in the last 7 days or 8 days, we're now going to remove the recent activity tag. Okay, they're still going to have an engaged tag, but we're going to remove the recent activity tag because we only want to see those people who haven't had any involvement with our brand, any engagement with our brand in the last 7 days to have the tag recent activity. Now we wait another 21 days. 21 days they haven't looked at the website, they haven't opened an email, they haven't done anything, then we're going to now add the tag disengaged. And we're going to remove the tag engaged. Now we're going to wait another 30 days if they're still here. Okay, now we're going to add the tag inactive and remove the tag disengaged, because after 30 days, if they have not opened up an email, they haven't looked at a page on our website, or had no engagement whatsoever with our website, we can pretty well feel that they have lost interest, and now they are inactive. And now they come down here and the automation ends. Okay. Now, if we come back into, I'm going to open these so we can have these side by side. So now if we go into part 2. Okay, so it makes more sense when you're seeing these side by side. Okay, so what triggers essentially both of these automations is the contact reads an email. That means they opened up an email. The contact clicks a link in an email, or the contact has visited one of our pages on our website. When that happens, we exit the contact from part 1. Okay, so the reason for that is that, say the contact is here waiting after 7 days. Well, let's say they're here at recent activity. Okay, so they're sitting here, they've been tagged with the tag recent activity has been removed, and now they're waiting here in these 21 days. Okay, this action note here, exit the automation part 1 engagement tagging, means that now we're pulling the contact out of here. Okay, so the contact would no longer be here. Okay, and now we're entering, they'll enter now the automation engagement tagging. Okay, so that means this node will put them right back in here. So now what happens? They'll get tagged with engaged, they'll get tagged with recent activity, and now we'll remove the disengaged tag and we'll remove the inactive tag. And here we sit and we wait for 7 days. Okay. If they don't do anything for these 7 days, we then remove the recent activity tag. Come down here, we wait 21 days. After 21 days, if they've done nothing, we now add the tag disengaged and we remove the tag engaged. And now they sit here for 30 days. Okay. If in any of that time they have read an email, they click on a link in an email, or they go and visit one of our web pages, okay, we pull them out. Okay, so they're sitting here waiting for the 30 days. We now pull them out of here, okay, and now we enter them back in up here at the top. So now they get tagged with engaged, they get tagged with recent activity, and then these 2 tags are removed if they've been applied. Okay, so this is a a really nice set of automations that will help you keep track of those people that have maintained some engagement with your brand, and be able to target them. So say you're running a special and you only want to run the special to your loyal visitors. You could then look at the tag for the engaged and only send that broadcast to, or campaign, to those that are engaged with your brand. So it's a really nice setup. One thing that I do like to do is when someone comes in here, okay, I like to update the contact, and what I do is I look at the last engagement date, okay, and I update it with the current date. Okay, it says current time, but the current date gets updated. And so now here, when they come in, I'm actually updating their contact record with today's date, so that I can do searches. Not only can I do searches on engaged or disengaged or what have you, but I can also look to see when the last date that they actually engage with the site. So in this particular segment, I wanted to explain the use of automation, the use of tagging, and of course how to update a custom field in an automation. And I hope I was successful in doing that. The next thing I want to show is using goals in automation and how that makes things just a little bit more flexible. I should also explain how easy it is to tag a contact right in the contact sheet. So all you have to do is come down here and start typing the tag, and the tag will appear, and then you could just click on it. It's super easy. So you can tag them right from the contact sheet. Very simple. In this section, I just want to explain the use of goals in an automation. So I built out this onboarding automation for this purpose. So what happens here is a contact subscribes to any list, any of my lists, and I'm going to send them a welcome email. Then I'm going to wait 4 days, and I'm going to send them some information on a product. I'm going to wait another 4 days. I'm going to send some testimonial, an email with some testimonials from other clients and customers. I'm going to wait in each one of these emails is going to have a call to action, to buy a product, buy a service, but that'll be contained in each one of these. So the whole purpose of this onboarding is really to encourage them to make a purchase. So get them familiar with my products and services, and to have them become a customer. So each one of these emails, the welcome email, the product intro, and the testimonials, will have content in there to convince them to become a customer. So now they've been in here for 12 days and they still haven't made a purchase. So I'm going to encourage it a little bit more with a coupon discount in here. I'm going to wait another 4 days. I'm going to remind them about the coupon, and then wait another 4 days. And if they've not made a purchase, I am pretty convinced that they're not going to make a purchase. Okay, but while they're in here, if they do make a purchase, okay, so if they made a purchase up here with the product intro, That's fabulous. Okay, I don't want to keep sending them testimonials and then of course a coupon for a product or a service that they may have just bought at full price. So I don't want to do that. I want to pull them out immediately. So that's where the goals come in. You could put in a whole bunch of if statements in here if they became customer blah blah blah, but it's just so much easier with just one action node, and it's the purchase made. Now in this particular instance, I have my e-commerce software connected to ActiveCampaign, so that when the customer makes a purchase, they're actually tagged with the tag called customer. Okay, so what will happen is in this particular configuration is I've named the goal purchase made. Okay, the contact will jump to that node as soon as the tag customer has been applied to the contact. Okay, and then of course this goal will appear below the contact's position. Okay, and I'm not going to do anything with conversions at this point. And if the contact does not meet the goal conditions, we're just going to end the automation at that point. Okay, so if the customer buys the product here, okay, I don't want them waiting here and getting the testimonial. I want them to come immediately down here, okay, and exit from the automation. Okay, there are other, you could add additional nodes here if you wanted, but for my purpose right now, all I want is them to get out of this automation as soon as they've made a purchase. Also, in your reporting, you can see how effective your automations are, because you'll be able to see how many of your contacts actually achieved the goal while they were in the automation. So it serves two purposes. One, it helps pull people out of the automations, and of course it shows you in your statistics how effective each of your automations are. But this is the one that most common people ask me, how do I get a contact out of an automation once they've made a purchase and became a customer? So this particular one is used quite often. The next feature I'd like to show you is deals. ActiveCampaign calls them deals. It's their sales pipeline. But if we click on this, okay, I just created this sale pipeline for demonstration purposes, but you can see you can have various stages, and you can have as many stages as you like that's needed for your particular business. So in my example, the contact has requested a brochure. Once they do, they're placed into this stage of the pipeline. Then if they've made an appointment, we advance them to, whoops, and I misspelled that. Okay, the appointment is kept. We sent a quote, they accepted the quote, if there's any follow-up, and then of course if they won, we won the case, or we won the account, or we lost the account. So you can add as many stages as you want. So let's say we want a new stage. Okay, and we're going to make this gray. Okay, and it gets appended to the end, but you can just then click on it and move it to wherever you might need it in your pipeline. Okay, you can click on the options. You can do a round robin if you want. You can have the sales pipeline go to just one particular person, but you can set your settings, right, the options of the pipeline right in here. You can add a user manually to a deal. So for instance here we want to add a deal. So I just use the person's first name and last name as the title. I'm going to add them to the sales pipeline, and I'm going to, they've already requested the brochure. I've talked with them. We kind of bypassed this because I met them on the street, and we're going to just put them in the appointment cap stage at this point. And they, whoops. All right. Just add whatever you want in there. Okay. You can also add a task right up in here. Add a task. And I'm going to assign it to someone else, and I'm going to make sure that that is done. Well, it's a holiday, so we'll make it the 22nd, and we want it completed by 8 p.m. That's 10 p.m. 8 p.m. Okay. You can also send a reminder. Okay. And we want this done. Let's do it 2 hours before it, 4 hours before it's due. Send a reminder. So that can be, those tasks can be done, and it will trigger a reminder. Okay. What you can also do is, based on certain actions, you can create an automation that will move the person from one place to another. So let me just make this active, and I'm going to tag the person with appointment made. Okay, and then they will move to the appointment made and I'm just going to put in a wait period so you can see how that works. I'm just going to put for 1 day. Of course, this is going to happen when I'm demonstrating something. Okay, so we wait 1 day. We're active when the tag appointment made is added. I'm just going to copy this so I don't mistype. We'll move the deal to this stage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window again. Okay, and I'm going to go into the contacts. Wait. Okay. And now look at the deals. So they're in the requested brochure stage right now. All right. So if we go open this. Okay, right there, right here. Okay, so now if I go and apply this tag, okay, appointment made, okay, it will trigger this automation. Okay, so you can see now that there's a person here who will be that person. Okay, and now if we go back into her deals and hit refresh, okay, you can see she moved to appointment made. Okay, so now she's here. If I now hit refresh, you can see that she's moved to appointment made. So you can build out automations that will automatically move people along. So if you connected your ActiveCampaign account to Calendly, for instance, and you had your sales pipeline set up, once the tag came in from Calendly, you could then have them move to a different stage in the pipeline, and that would happen automatically without you having to do anything. So setting up the movement, the movement of the deal, you just select the pipeline that you want the person to be moved to and the stage you want them to be moved to, and does it affect the most recent deal for this contact, or any deal, or all deals, and then which pipeline. So if they say, for instance, they weren't in the sales pipeline and you only wanted them coming in from the training pipeline, you could set it up so it would only take them from the other pipeline and move them into this pipeline. I mean, that would be, there's many different scenarios where that would be the case, but that's the flexibility of the pipeline. So as I said, you can move them through. You can just take someone and move the card over to the next stage very easily. You can move them all around right through the interface at the pipeline, or you can do it through an automation, or and this is just showing that it's out of date because the deal has been, I've been moving the deal around. Okay. Or if you came right in here, you can change the stage of the stage of the deal through here. So there's many different ways that you can move a contact through a pipeline, and an automation is one. Manually doing it is another, and different pages you can do it right through the contact page, or you can work right through the pipeline. All right, so the next topic we're going to go over is, we're going into webhooks and how you can expand the use of ActiveCampaign using third-party applications. Okay, so in this last automation, I want to show you how you can use webhooks or use the integration, the native integration that ActiveCampaign has with various applications, including Google Sheets. So in this particular one, what we did here was we created a landing page in ActiveCampaign to collect registrants for a webinar that we're going to present. So in here in ActiveCampaign under Site, and Pages, you can create landing pages. So I created two landing pages. One is for the registration and one is the thank you page. So if we go out to the registration page, and this is a template from ActiveCampaign. I just wanted to put something together quickly, so I just used their template. This is all of their verbiage, and what I changed here is the registration information. So if I go back to edit the design, okay, what you'll see on the form registration is that when anyone fills out this form, they're going to be tagged with this tag, ActiveCampaign Pages Zoom Webinar Registration. And that is what I'm using here to kick off. This will trigger this automation. So now let me just walk you through the automation. So what it does is when a contact is tagged with that tag, they enter the automation. This notification here sends a notification to our admin that the person has registered. We're also using the integrated Google Sheet node, action node. So this will send data, okay, to this sheet here, okay, and then this webhook, okay, is the Zapier webhook that we need to now create the user in Zoom. Okay, so when you create a webhook, a new automation webhook, okay, it will create this code here, and then you just copy this code into your webhook node. And when the contact comes to this node here, it will send the contact data out to this webhook and then follow the instructions. And our instructions here say, so we close this. So now we're saying in this setup, we're going to register them for this demo meeting. We're sending this email address, first name, last name, and they will get their registration. So if we then go to this form, and I'm just going to, this is all fake data, so no worries about that. And if I now register, it gets taken to the thank you page. Okay, and if I now come into ActiveCampaign and look at this person, you can see that I have gone into the webinar registration. And if we now view this, okay, we can now see the path that this user has taken. So it was tagged with this tag. The check marks mean that it has happened. The notification was sent. The row was created in Google Sheet. So let's take a look here. And sure enough, the row was created in Google Sheet. If we come back, come back. So now we're sitting here waiting for 10 days, and now the hook, the webhook was sent. So if we come back here and go up and just load another example, okay, you can see that his data came through. Okay, and then the item would be sent to the registration in Zoom. This is not hooked up because I don't want to send a whole bunch of fake users to Zoom and have sending emails all over the place. But you can see how this works. So that takes care of the Google Sheet integration with ActiveCampaign and shows you the use of a webhook. So I hope this was helpful.